Todo lo que tengo que hacer es relajarme y tomar mi tiempo. Debo leer las preguntas y ver cuáles son las que puedo responder. Sin presiones. Veamos. Número 1. Ah, ya veo. Tengo que descifrar un código. A ver. Bueno, olvidemos la 1. ¿Cuál sigue? Veamos. Saltemos esa. La que sigue. Cada problema es más difícil que el anterior. Olvídalo, es inútil. ¿Qué voy a hacer? ¿Qué haré? ¿Qué haré? ¿Qué haré? ¿Qué haré? ¿Qué haré? Calma. Sin pánico.
Hello, student. I see you come to my dojo. You seek help to complete your IB exams. Well, I'm your sensei and I'm going to get you well prepared. In this ITGS topic, we're going to talk about the networks. Let's get right into it. What is a network? A network consists of 2 or more computers that are linked in order to share resources, exchange files, or allow electronic communication. The computers on a network may be linked through cables, telephone lines, or by wireless connections. An example of a network is the internet. Nowadays, there are more than 4.5 billion internet users. Let's talk about the components. Networks exist anywhere we go, from a small office with the connections between a PC and a printer to huge corporate networks with many devices connected. We can think about it like the networks between El Roble School. Every email is connected with each other. That's why we use @@Cerroble. We can say that smaller networks follow the concept of client and server networks. But this is a main concept, so that's why we're going to talk about it. And in this case, anytime you see a network, there is going to be a client and a server. Let's talk about the servers. They tend to be fewer, and there are the computers that are assigned responsibility for certain tasks for the whole network and provide services to the clients. There are many services that perform a specific task. That's why we are going to see the most famous type of servers. First, let's start with the basic one, file servers. They are used to store files and data, and they are really helpful because users can control and have access to them. We also have print servers. They manage any printers and any device that are attached to the printer network. They control the access to them, and they maintain a queue of documents waiting to be printed. That's why many devices can send signal to the printers and the printer doesn't collide because it has an order and it's really well organized via the server. Nowadays, we have built-in servers in almost everything. In the case of printers, it's no different. If we talk about years before, you would have to put a server onto the printer, but nowadays it comes with it. We also have the database server. It hosts this information and manages access to it. And we also have the domain controller. It's responsible for processing login requests and determining whether a user should be allowed to access the network and its resources. I have an example for you. Everyone has seen it, but you didn't know it was a domain controller. When a web address is typed into a browser, a DNS query is made to learn an IP address of a web server associated with that name. And that's how we see networks working in basically everything we do. Now we have a pretty main concept that is the architecture and how these connections are distributed. An architecture refers to the way computers are logically organized on a network and the role each one takes. In a client-server network, one of the most common architectures has one or more computers acting as a server that provides services to the rest of the clients. Files located on a server can be accessed by their own owners from any client, meaning users are not tied down to one particular computer. This makes the networks more flexible. Thin client network. The thin client computers rely heavily on a server, not only to store files and applications, but to run software on the client's behalf. But let's see an example of architecture. Here we have an example of the architecture of a peer-to-peer network. A peer-to-peer network is a network that every client has equal status and there is no central authority or server, meaning every peer is their server. Peer-to-peer networks are common in homes and small offices. In this network, each computer shares the files from its own hard disk, and other machines can access them assuming they have permission. So now let's talk about the types of networks, because there are many different types of networks. First, we're talking about the most basic one, the LAN and the wireless LAN. For the local area networks, it is basically a network that is confined to one geographical area, such as home, an office building, or a school campus. Even though the area may be quite large, all the computers belong to the same organization. For the case of the wireless LANs, it's a local network in which some or all devices connect wirelessly. In businesses and schools, it is common for some computers to have wired access using Ethernet cables, while other devices like laptops and PDAs connect using wireless connections. There are many other types. For example, the personal area network. It's created when devices such as mobile phones or PDAs are connected to a computer. A great example is when you connect your Bluetooth speaker in your room with your phone. We also have metropolitan area networks. They cover relatively large areas like very large university campuses or even cities. Usually, a connection of LANs can form a metropolitan area network. Now, wide area network. The best example of a wide area network is the internet. A WAN is formed by connecting many computers and LANs together to form a network of networks. And then we have a really common concept that is a virtual private network. It uses encryption to create an encrypted tunnel from one computer to a local network in another location over a public network. This states that you can be whenever you want, blocking your locations, and you can put the location in whatever you want. Here we have an image of how the network works. They are usually classified in the geographical size of them. As we can see, we have on the top the WAN because it's wider, and in the end we have the nano because it's the smallest network on this organization. Let's talk about and tie everything up with the internet. That is the most common network that everyone knows. Well, the internet is a network of networks. It's a WAN. All over the world, networks from schools, businesses, organizations, universities, and homes are joined together to create one larger network. These networks are connected via internet service providers, such as Claro or Tigo. In turn, ICPs are connected to national network service providers. NSPs are large companies that sell access to the internet backbone, the series of high-speed links which connect major geographical areas. An example of a network service provider could be the Starlink project that provides internet to everyone in the world. Of course, this is just the beginning and it's a concept, but it's just an example of how networks work in today's world. And let me tell you, students, congratulations, you have earned your headband. You now belong to the Tuning Academy. Great job.